Hello everyone, this is Scorcher Toys at Anymoon.com's transformation guide for Bandai's High Metal R VF-19 toys. These are the ones that come in boxes that look like this. And today we are going to start in Battroid mode, how the toy comes packaged, and make our way to Gerwalk and ultimately fighter mode. Well, this is technically a step for going back to Battroid mode. When you first pull your toy out of the box, the hip is going to be in the lower position. So to get the toy into a proper Battroid mode to start this video, you're going to go ahead and bring that swing bar up and rotate the hip as you do it. And there we go. Now this toy is in Battroid mode. If you are transforming the Fire Valkyrie, the 19 Kai, begin by removing the head lasers and grabbing the straight version of them, and they just plug in just as easily as they came off, and do that again on the other side. If you are transforming the Zola 19P version, grab this head laser on the top here and jiggle it to the back position like so. You remember that PSA I opened with about moving your hip up? Well, now we're going to move it right back down, okay? So now we get it into that lower fighter and Gerwalk mode position by just rocking and wiggling like so. Now we're going to reach a fingernail behind here and lift up that trap door, and then grab the chest and put one finger on the nose cone here, and then lift up and bring that whole section down and over, which then allows us to grab this piece here and begin lifting it up. There is a peg going into a slot on the nose cone. It probably won't stop you here. If it does, you know what's grabbing. Rock this whole piece upward, and you can see there's a nice metal hinge on the inside here. And we're gonna rock this up and get that into position. And then there's a peg right on the back here that we can lock down like so. Bring your nose cone up and forward, and that'll go into that position. Now go ahead and remove the canards and just rotate them into the right position. You might be able to do it without taking them out entirely. And then there's this trap door beneath. We're going to open up these panels here and press that down and in until it fits flushly like so. Now I want to get my legs into that Gerwalk position. So what I'm going to do is extend the knee outward like so and bring the Gerwalk joint down and that leg down too. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. You can also bring that foot out as far as it will go to help you get that proper angle. Now we have these parts on either side of the toy that connect to the hip. And what we want to do is bring them down and flush. And we're going to have to wiggle our hip as we do this to make sure everything is just right. But there you go. I'll do the same thing on the other side here. I've got my hip kind of in the wrong position. I rotate this piece back, bring that hip into position, and then everything should be flush throughout. And we might have to fine tune a little bit, but there you go. Now you can see that whole front section of fighter mode has come together. Things are a little motley right here, but we're gonna go ahead and bring this upper body into the position we want it to be into. And the hinge is pretty stiff, but like just kind of rock things until you get it to look about right, which is right about here, which is also a pretty hilarious part of transformation from the look of it. Then we wanna bring our arms back so that we could free up the trap doors on either side of the head here, and then spin the head around and tuck it into position. There we go. We push it in, press it down. We do want that fin upward from the head, and then we can close those doors, bring the arms back out again, and you want these lasers to be tucked on either side there, and we could bring that up for the rest of Gerwalk. I thought I could just cheat and put that cavity filler in after the fact, that neck cavity filler, but it actually does work a lot better if you start it before you bring the head back into position, and it seems to lock it in at that point. So now we can close these up and bring this around, And there you go. And now that cavity filler should be pretty much locked into position. Things are just a touch different with the 19P because these head lasers are sticking out. So let's bring this out, get our little neck cover and start threading it in, and then bring this piece back. That's how we should do that neck cover for the best fit. Now these lasers are going to keep poking out, and we've already moved this laser back up into its back position. And now we can bring those closed, bring the arms around and fold this up as well. And that's the slight variation with the 19P. There's this cod piece on the bottom of the toy. And now we want to bring this into the back, more fighter mode looking position. And now we want to get our wings into position. So I've got the wings still in the Battroid position here, and I'm going to bring it up and then I'm going to sweep it out. And then as I come up with it, you can see there's a peg right here that goes into that slot underneath. So I'm going to fish it up and through. You can also see that there's an extension on this peg right here. So we want to get this all angled up and fit that into that chest hole. And there is going to be, it's not the easiest thing in the world. You got to line everything up just right to get it to work. And it will be easier for you because you don't have a camera in front of your face, but there you go. Now I've got that in, and then afterwards I'm going to press down and try to make sure I've got everything lined up throughout. And now I'll repeat on the other side. On the 19P, we have one last step, and that is to remove this shoulder cover and replace it with the one that has the fin pointed backward like so. And I guess that gets you that aerodynamic look. Repeat on the other side. Congratulations everyone, you're in Gerwalk mode. From a fine tuning perspective, pretty easy to knock the wings out of alignment. You also could get these parts throughout not perfectly aligned, so check those things. You can see my 19P actually has some issues with that right now. Again, get the wings so they're symmetrical, however you want that to be. Enjoy your toy in Gerwalk mode, and then we will continue on to fighter. If you're transforming the 19P, your road to fighter mode is going to begin by once again removing this shoulder cover like so, and grabbing the ones you had on in Battroid mode. Those are also your fighter mode version. We're going to go ahead and press that firmly into position, and we'll repeat over here. If you've got fixed posed hands on, now is when you will remove that hand and find the fully transformable hand, the fist right here, plug that into position, and then go ahead, get a fingernail in here, pry up this door. That lets you see the metal slider within, and we are just going to pull out on that so that the metal slider hits the very end. That allows the fist to rotate, and then you can close that trap door like so. Repeat on the other side. So I have accidentally, or just by removing those fists, removed this peg on the wings and brought them free down below again. You want to do that as well, and go ahead and remove your shield at this point. We're going to swap the Battroid mode shield out for the fighter shield as we get a little closer to fighter mode. The Fire Valkyrie needs an extra step here to get this big head fin tucked away for fighter mode. Bring this down. We need to get to that head again, so we're going to go ahead and bring those shoulders out, bring this open. We can remove this little cover for a moment here. It will be going back in. That allows us to pull the whole head out. And then once you see the whole head, you can grab this fin and rock it way back. So now this would look pretty ridiculous in Battroid mode. That fin would be way up. We can see this slot here. Now we are going to go ahead and tuck that all back down. And that head laser, or should be all the way down, that fin I guess I should say. And then we need to get our cover back into position before we really tuck this in. So let's get that there. Rotate that. Peg it all in securely, push down there, close, close, And now that head should be where we need it. Things are a little easier on the 19P. We don't have to do any of that stuff with the head. We don't have to pull this flap down, none of it. We can just bring these flaps up on the back here. We're gonna get these wings down and out of the way. And then we can just rotate this back. And you wanna get that flap to cover that cavity right behind the head. And it should lay flat like so. And then we can bring our arms around, and you can see there's pivots here. Now, I haven't pushed my flaps down here, so you gotta push these in. Boop, boop. And then this comes up and in like so. And we'll do the same thing on the other side here. And you can see the joints you're working with. So if they are fighting you, you can wiggle, jiggle a little bit to get them basically into this position here. We'll fine tune it in just a moment. All right, so we have these arms roughly where they need to be. They can slide on us right now. They're probably supposed to be in their fully extended thing, but the best and easiest way for me to figure out how to do this is just to grab my shield, triangle towards the front. I got that a little loose right there. All right, so then we get our shield into one of these arms and then the other. And it should line up pretty easily, but if it doesn't, we can look on the side and see where it needs to be. And then you just want to get that shield where it needs to be flush with the parts right in front of it. And you will have it in position. Again, that's going to be extended outward. Here's what it looks like from below. And it looks like I've got things just a little askew, but that is how it should be. That lines up on the top, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, let's get our torso more or less into the correct position. So I brought that crotch piece down. That lets me bring this down. And we just want to get that hinge inside there. Let's see it from the front here. So this piece needs to go inside, back behind that crotch piece, like so. Then we can fold that over. And now from the top, you see you've got that straight back all the way through. Now we'll get our feet into fighter position. Just go ahead like so, and then you can push them in. You just want to make sure they're not right in the center, and that when you're done, there's a little gap in between for that thrust to fire through. Looking beneath the toy now, we can get our legs into position, and there's a few different things we want to watch out for. So let's get our vertical stabilizer basically up, and then we are going to get our leg down in position so that this tab is received by that slot right there. And we want to have that Gerwalk joint perfectly flat as we do this. And there's a little slot right here that is covering that arm, that shoulder mechanism that came through here. I guess it's the bicep mechanism. So we need to line everything up, apply some pressure, get that peg into place. Everything should line up. Let's see here. Got that into position, come up over the top, and we have this shoulder piece here. There are tabs inside the leg that are gonna go into that shoulder piece, and it's gonna be pretty much a death grip there, and we'll repeat with the other leg. Now, if this step is fighting you, you need to make sure that that leg is extended at the knee. You might have tried to put that back closed as you were getting the leg into position. It is extended in fighter mode, so we get that back, get it where it needs to be, plug in that shoulder piece, and I'm gonna line up this peg after we've done that shoulder. And there you can see how everything looks nice and tight and tucked underneath once both legs are in position. And to finish things up, we're gonna go ahead and bring that vertical stabilizer up. Wing comes over, there is a peg and a slot, peg and a slot. Just line those up, get them in, and I'll wiggle jiggle on this one to get it into position. There it goes. And then you bring this vertical stabilizer down and it'll fill in that gap behind the wing like so. Congratulations, you're in fighter mode and there's not a lot of fine tuning to do. We do want to double check all our pegs, make sure those legs, like there you go. I had a little bit more room to get the leg pegs in the back. So let's get those pressed firmly into place, and you should have a rock solid fighter mode throughout Go ahead and enjoy that now. If you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up. If you thought I did not explain something thoroughly, leave a comment, let me know. Or if you've got a transformation guide you're hoping to see, hit up those comments. Happy to respond to those. And if you're into transforming toys, do subscribe. Thanks everyone. See you on the next one.